first blush, the most plausible answer is the most obvious one, that consumers are alarmed at the combination of rising cost of living, especially for essential everyday items, and with higher interest rates. Although it's interesting that consumer sentiment appears to have deteriorated as much among people who rent their homes or who own their homes outright as among people who have mortgages to service, even though the first two groups aren't directly affected by higher interest rates. There's obviously a range of concerns there in front of households. So far, however, that doesn't seem to have translated into significant slowing in consumer spending. Consumer sentiment peaked last December and has fallen every month since then, but consumer spending on discretionary items, at least through June, that is incorporating the first two increases in interest rates, has still held up remarkably well. And as we also learnt yesterday, business confidence actually improved in July and business conditions remain remarkably favourable.
Yeah, so what do you think's going on? I mean, obviously the Reserve Bank changed its inflation forecast on Friday, I think, to 7.75% for the December quarter. So I guess that tells you it's going to keep raising interest rates, doesn't it?
Yes, although the Reserve Bank says it's not on any preset path with regard to interest rates, it seems to me fairly clear that they intend to get the cash rate up to somewhere around what they regard as neutral. And although they haven't spelled out what they think neutral is.
What do you think it is?
Well, I think it's around 2.5%, using the midpoint of the Reserve Bank's target range for inflation, which is 2.5%, as a measure of inflation over the longer term, which it has been over the period since the Reserve Bank gained its independence from the government and formally started targeting inflation. That would imply a real cash rate of zero, bearing in mind, of course, nobody actually pays the cash rate. That would be consistent with a mortgage rate, a standard variable mortgage rate of just under 7%.